wanted to spend just a couple minutes talking about the layers panel in Photoshop. This is something that could be confusing at first. Once you start working with it, you'll get the hang of it. So here are some things that would be helpful to know right away in Photoshop, in my opinion. So the first thing I want to point out is the visibility of each layer. So beside the layers over here in the layer panel, you'll see the eyeball. So the eyeball means the layer is visible. If I don't want the layer visible, so let's say, for example, I decided I don't want to see the basketball right now, just click the eyeball. Okay, do the same thing with every other layer, and they're all turned off. Of course, click the square, and they're back on. Same with the background. So that's called layer visibility. Second thing would be the arrangement of the layers relative to each other, meaning what's on top of what. Right now, my top layer is layer 5, which is the golf ball. Let's say I want the tennis ball on top. Come to my tennis ball layer and just drag it above my golf ball. Okay. Right now, the basketball is on the bottom, but I could very easily have that on the top. So I can drag that up. So whatever is on top over here is on top over here as well. Whatever is on the bottom, such as the soccer ball, is actually on the bottom. Now, everything is going to be on top of the background. That's why there's a lock right here. So it's important to leave that on. If we were to take the lock off, I could drag anything below the background. Obviously, that's not going to make sense because the background's going to cover it. So I would just say leave that on until you're comfortable with Photoshop. Next, I want to show you opacity. So opacity allows you to actually see through pictures. So let's start with the basketball. We're on top right now with the basketball. Opacity is right here. So anything less than 100, you can start to see through the item. So we'll leave it at 77, for example. Let's do my tennis ball. We'll go down to about halfway. So notice it starts looking like a ghost. If I did opacity at 0, the item's going to completely disappear. Okay. Next thing is you can rename layers fairly simply. So let's say layer 3, which is a soccer ball. Let's just call it soccer. Okay. And then layer 4, just double click, call it tennis. So you kind of get the hang of it there. Just double click and name it whatever you want. It's not a big deal right now because I only have a handful of layers. But just imagine if I had 30 or 40, or else I had layers of stuff that weren't as easy to identify as what I have right now. Okay. Something else you may want to consider would be adding your layers to groups. And again, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense now, but just imagine having 20 to 30 layers over here in the layers panel. It's going to get a little messy. Okay, so we're going to add a group. So come right here, beside paths, there's a drop-down arrow. We'll just say new group. I'm going to call it sports. And now I can drag each of these items into my group one at a time. Notice how it kind of tabs over a little bit, and then I can collapse the group. So the pictures are still in the same spot, but my layers panel is just a little bit cleaner over here. If I want to see it again, I can open it up. Okay. Definitely a handy tip when you start feeling a little overwhelmed over here. The last thing I want to show you is you can add colors to different layers. Now, we're not talking about actually changing the color of the picture. So layer 2 is my basketball. Let's just say I want to make that red. The tennis ball, we'll do yellow. My golf ball, we'll do blue. And soccer ball, we'll do violet. Okay. So the color over here doesn't change. Colors over here do change, signifying the layers. So if you want to find a layer quickly, you might add a color or something like that.